Hi guys, it's Sherry. I hope that you're having a wonderful day. Y'all, let's make something that will brighten anyone's mood. Stay tuned. So I hope that everyone is keeping busy and not going stir crazy, keeping the mood and the spirit lifted. I have been crafting like crazy, but in between crafting, I've been doing puzzles. I've been watching Netflix. I've been hanging out with Mike and Aaron. It's just been, just a whole bunch of downtime that we aren't used to having. But like you guys, I am trying to make the best of these challenging times. So y'all hang in there with me because I'm going to hang in there with you. And today's project, guys, today's project is such fun. And I am going to bring it in and show you what it is. It is this stinking cute 3-stem paper flower pot. And it is fantastic. I absolutely love it. It's cute on the front and on the back. Absolutely adorable. And so many of you have asked me to please start offering kits of some of the projects that I'm doing. And this is one of those projects that I'm going to offer a kit on because I think that making this and gifting it will certainly be a breath of fresh air to someone. And on the kits that I'll offer, it won't necessarily have the same front to it. I only have a limited number of the sayings for the front. And my little PDF writer is back. So I will also have a PDF available for this project. And I will also have flower templates, flower petal templates available as a part of that PDF as well. So let's make this, guys, and you're going to see it is so much fun and our end result is going to be so cute. Okay, so to make our project, we are going to need some flower petals and we'll need 9 of them. And I have 9 2-inch flower petals. Then we need 3 stems, and the stems that I'm using measure 8 inches tall. We need a piece of chipboard that measures 2 1/2 by 7. We need 2 pieces of chipboard that measure 2 1/2 by 3 7/8. And we need 2 pieces of chipboard that measure 8 by 4. Then we need 2 pieces of cardstock that measure 3 by 9. I have a piece of cardstock, and it is just a lightweight cardstock that measures 8 1/2 by 11. And then I have my 12 by 12 piece of decorative paper, and this paper is just so gorgeous. It is from American Crafts, and I got it at AC Moore, and this is probably about a 100 weight. It doesn't have it listed, but it's probably about a 100 weight. All right, guys, so the first thing that we need to do is we need to take our 8 by 4 pieces of chipboard, and we are going to create an angle on these. So I am going to take my ruler and place it on the 8-inch side, and then I will make a mark at 1/2 inch, and I'll make another mark at 7 1/2 inches. And I am going to do this on both pieces. So now what I'll be doing is I am going to take my ruler, place it on the corner, and then bring it to my mark, and I will make a mark with my pen so that you guys can see what I did. So basically, I used this point here and angled it out to the end here. And now all I need to do is use my ruler and my finger blade to remove the chipboard, and that will give me my gorgeous little angle. And then I'll do the same thing over here. So here's my mark, and I'll take my ruler, place it on the mark, and then I'll just angle it out to the end point here. And now I can just cut down. And so now I've got one piece of my board angled. Now what you can do, and what I normally do, is I will simply position it on top and then just cut. But for those of you who haven't seen me do this process, I'm going to do it again. So I'm placing it on the mark at the bottom. I'll angle it out at the top. And then I'll use my blade to make my cut. And I'll do the same thing over here. So I'll place my ruler on my mark. And then I'll take my ruler, angle it over to the edge of the chipboard. And now I can simply remove that excess. And now I should have two pieces that are fairly even in size. So when you get your kit, this will be part of the process that you'll need to do if you want that angled look. All right, guys, so to make our box, I am actually going to use this as my front. And I will take one of my pieces that measures 8 by 4, and I am going to place it about 1/2 inch from the top. And before you lay it down, make sure that the ends are now the same width. So this is a 7-inch piece. We took off 1 inch when we angled this. Just make sure that they do match. So I am going to take this piece, lay it down with about 1/8 of an inch in my spacing. And then I'll take this piece and do the same thing. So I'm going to put it down using about 1/8 of an inch in spacing. And now I'll flip this over and just get everything nice and stuck to my tape. And then I'll use my finger blade and I am going to just trim out a border that pretty much matches the shape of my paper. Just like that. And I'll do the same thing over here. Okay, so now what we need to do is just go ahead and fold to get our ends folded over. And now that we have our ends folded over, let's make sure that we fold over our spine so that we can get a nice little crease. And basically what I'm going to be doing is my crease is right here, just running straight down. And I am going to come up and just cut out a V point on that crease. So I'll be angling on both sides of the crease. I'm not going all the way up to the chipboard, but I'm getting tabs that'll be easier to fold in since I have angled my board. So you can see how I've got this tab. Okay, so now that I have my tabs cut out, that's just going to make it easier to fold in since I have these angled points. So what I need to do now is go ahead and miter these ends so that we can fold this over the way that we normally do. So I am simply going to bring in my blade and just miter my edges. And now that we have the edges mitered, we need to lay down our tape. Okay, so now that I have my tape on my edges, I am simply going to take these pieces and start folding them over. And I'll get them stuck down, and I will repeat this process on the other sides. Okay guys, so now that we have our edges folded over, we have a beautiful outer shell to our flower pot. And now we need to flip it over. I am going to bring in my piece that measures 8.5 by 11, and I'm sliding it all the way to the bottom so that it's even. And then I'll use my pen just to get a rough trace of the actual shape. Doesn't have to be exact. All right, so once we have that rough trace, what I'm going to do is come inside of the trace mark about 1/8 of an inch. and I will basically cut out this shape. So when I get down to where the shape turns in a different angle, I'll bring my ruler down to follow it. So I'm going to go straight here, and then I'll stop here because now I need to flare out this way. All right, so now we need to take off a little bit at the top. And we will be left with this. Let's bring the shape back in, place it down to see if we need to take any off. And you can see that my sides look good, but I can remove just a little bit from the bottom here. So I am going to take my ruler, place it down, and I am going to take off about 1/8 of an inch. And that should pretty much do it. So let's place it back down. And now you can see that I have a nice fit here at the bottom, here at the top, and here on the sides. So I am going to go ahead and cover this entire board with tape on the inside that's exposed, and then we'll put this down. All right, guys, so I have my tape all over my board, and I am simply running glue along the edges of my inside liner piece. And now that I have glue on this, I will take this and I am going to get it stuck down. And then I'll use my paper towel to really smooth out my glue. And now I can use my bone folder to really work that glue into the paper and the chipboard. And the reason why I'm using plain white cardstock on these is because you're not going to see the inside of the box with the shredded paper in it. So I decided, there's really no point in wasting any colorful paper. Just use plain white, and that'll give you a very nice finished and lined look. So here we have this part. Now we need to create our side pieces. So I am going to bring in my paper that measures 3 by 9 and my chipboard piece that measures 2.5 by 3 7/8. And I'm taking off my tape. And what I'm going to do at this point is simply take this, position it all the way at the bottom, but I want to make sure that when I lay this down, I've got a little border on both sides. And that's important because when you cut, you're going to need to cut up, stop at the tip, and then flare out. And I'll do this on the other side. So this time I'm going to start at the tip and cut down, and then I'll flare out. And the reason why I'm flaring out is because when I fold this over, if I had cut this just straight up, I might actually cut crooked, and then I would have some of the chipboard showing. But by giving myself the border and then flaring out, I am guaranteeing myself a nice covered side piece. So all I'm doing at this point is just trimming away my excess. And I have already done one, so now I have my 2. And so what you need to do now is just position it inside of your cover. And what you're trying to do is you want to make sure that the top of the side piece does not extend beyond the top of your planter cover. And mine doesn't. So at this point, I am simply going to take my glue, and I have 3 raw edges on this chipboard that I am going to cover with glue. All right, so once I have the glue on my 3 edges, I need to place it inside my box here, and how far in you choose to go truly depends on you. So I normally go in about 1/8 of an inch, and I'll bring up both sides. I'm going to check it to make sure it looks the way that I want it to look. And if it doesn't, we can just slide it back a little. And when you have your positioning, what you need to do is press down and squeeze in your sides. So press down to get the bottom of the side piece stuck, and then squeeze in the sides just to make sure that everything has a nice stick on it, and then just let it dry for a few minutes. Okay, so once this is dry enough, I'll go ahead and place glue on the 3 raw edges of the second piece. And don't you guys just love how pink, black, and white just looks so beautiful together? All right, so now that we have our glue on this piece, basically all we need to do is get it on the inside, wherever you want it. I'm using reptile glue, so it is going to dry clear. Get it positioned where you want it. Again, squeeze down, press in, and let's give this time to dry. And while the flower pot is drying, let's go ahead and make the flowers. So I have 9 2-inch petals here, and I'm going to just divide them into sets of 3. And I'll bring in my 3 stems that measure 8 inches long. And all I'm going to do at this point, the first thing that I'm going to do is just place 2 of the flowers together. And I like for my flowers to have just a stack look, but you can turn your flowers like that if you like. So I'm going to go ahead and just do these 3. And then I'm going to go with these 3 pink gems. So I'll just take my gem and place it in the center. And now I'll flip this over, use my hot glue, and just place some hot glue right there. I am going to place down one of my stems, and then I'll take a petal for the back and place it down, just like that. And I'll do this with the others. So again, I'll take my set that has the bling on the front. I'm going to place some hot glue, take my stem and place it in the hot glue, take my flower and sandwich that stem, and now I have my 3 petals. But to make sure that the backs are just as pretty as the front, I am going to flip these over, place down just a little bit of glue, and I am going to place smaller gems on the back. But I want to make sure that if this is looked at from behind, the back also looks pretty. And while those are drying, I am going to take my front petals and just fold them outward just to give them some dimension. Now you can leave yours flat if you want, but I just want these to have just a little bit of dimension to them. Okay, so now that we have our petals, I am going to go ahead and get these ready to go in the bottom. And here's how I'm going to do this, guys. So I am going to come up about 1 inch from the bottom, so you will need some needle nose pliers for this part, and I am going to bend just like this. Then I'm going to take this as it's standing and looking like this. I'm going to bend it again, and then I'll bend it again. So what this is doing is giving me just a little base that'll be just like this, and that's how I'm going to get this stuck down inside of the pot, and it'll make sense in just a minute. So to make sure that they're fairly even, I'll take my next one and position it next to that one so that I can get my bend point. They may not be exact, but they'll be close enough. So I'll bend again, and I will bend again. And then I'll do the same thing with the third one. So I'll match it up, getting them about the same height. And then I'll take this at the bend point and bend it. And then when it's like this, and then I'll bend it again, and then I will bend it a third time. So basically what you're creating is simply a little stand. That's all it is. So now, the easiest way that I have found to do this, and I am not going to put a false bottom in this because I want this to be a permanent piece of home decor. So if you want to place a false bottom in yours and then put your flowers on top of that, you can, but for these, I am not. So what I am going to do is take my glue gun and just drop in a nice dollop of glue. Then I will take my little stand. So I'm positioning that little stand that I bent in the glue, and I'll let it dry. So then once it's dry, you're going to have something that looks like this. So now I'll do this on the other end. Just going to drop in some glue, just like that. Then I'll take my flower in its little stand and position it. And then let's do our last one. So I am going to take my glue gun, place my glue in, and this time I position the glue just a little bit back because I want this one to look like it's a little bit behind the others. So I am going to let this dry and then I'll be back in. And isn't this just so stinking cute? If you receive this, wouldn't this immediately bring a smile to your face? I know that anyone who receives this during these times especially would be over the moon thrilled. This is such a fun, feel-good project. So what I'm going to do now is I am simply going to tuck in some little pieces of paper because I don't want to fill this whole thing with shredded paper because boy will that eat up your shredded paper stock pretty quickly. So I'm just tucking in some shredded paper. So I took my roll of thin paper and I'm just tucking in little bits and pieces here and there, and then I'll go back and I am going to put in my shredded paper. But by doing this, this saves me on the amount of shredded paper that I actually need to put in. So now I have my shredded paper and I am simply going to place this in all cute like. So now I'm going to take some stickers that spell mom and I am going to place them down. Guys, isn't that sweet? Oh my goodness, that is so stinking cute and so out of this world sweet. I absolutely love it. And you know, Mother's Day is coming up, and this is one of those things that we can start making for mom, or we can make it for sisters, girlfriends, whomever. Change the paper. You could actually gift this to a man. I absolutely love how these turned out. Like I said, I will have kits available, and I'm also going to make these two available for sale on my website. That is something that I think I'll start doing. So when I make a project, I'm also just going to make it, show it to you guys, and then I'll put it on the site for sale. So if you're interested in purchasing these, a kit, or any other items that I'll have on my site, the link is in the description box. Just click it, go right to the site, place your order. So guys, I hope that you're smiling right now because these are just so much fun. And I hope that you have liked this project. If you have, please hit the like button. If you are not a subscriber to my channel, I would love to have you join my online crafting family. You guys, have a great day. Happy crafting, and we'll chat later. Bye.